Okay, here we are. So, I mean, how would this be spoken, right? Like when she says, "Oh, my heart," you are to say, "You are troubled, our mistress, oh, your heart." Um, oh, you are troubled, our mistress, oh, your liver, right? I mean, there's obviously this sarcasm that's happening here. And this goes to the two different approaches, right? I mean, when this is spoken, it has to be spoken with sincerity. But I mean, imagine like Looney Tunes, right? How does Looney Tunes present bad characters? They present them in this comical light. Um, if you look at the Hollywood approach to villains, the Hollywood approach to villains, presents fear and negativity and drama and epic and you know wah 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 sometimes. Um, the villain can trouble your heart, right? Oh, you're troubled, and so we see the villain in Hollywood, and we're like, oh, we're troubled, right? But this is a completely different image of Aresh Kagala. I mean, instead of Aresh Kagala, da da da, the evil queen of hell, rah. This is quite a pathetic Aresh Kagala, and quite laughable as well, right? There's a scene in Harry Potter where there's a monster that gets inside your brain and figures out your greatest fear. And the way they attack it is to make it comedic. And so this is exactly Anki's approach. Don't fear the bad character. Recognize the bad character for what he is. Like this goes back to the wonderful complexity of man. You could have a man who's trying to intimidate another man, and men who try to intimidate other men can do so from different motivations. Um, some of them just like destruction, and so that's their motivation. Hatred, we could say, right? Hate, a hateful heart. Other men though are cowards, right? And so this is the same face, the face of intimidation, but these are two different hearts, right? But then we can get into more complexity and say that each man can have both hatred and cowardice to different degrees, making each character unique, right? Then, of course, there's your experimental psychologist. Totally different motivation right there. Um, and so, this is what's really happening in this approach. It is Aresh Kagala who is kind of pathetic. Now, again, there's this gods thing, and I interpret that to be people who are free. And this could be evil gods who are technically slaves, but they, like Aresh Kagala, have their own ministers. So this is like evil respect towards evil gods. But if they're a free man or a free woman, then they'll show respect because, again, the face of evil is a sweet can be sweet and charming. Um, now, what else is happening here? Of course, there's the make her swear this. Uh, and that we add to that, like specifically, I don't know what river of water or field of grain specifically is, so I think there's something definitely happening there. But generally speaking, we could step back and say that you add that to make her swear this. Anki is telling them to be specific, right? I mean, and this kind of makes sense, right? The wicked mind is very legalistic, right? Because again, it's all about owing and justice, and it's all about the formality of it all. rather than the heart of. So then she's going to get freed. But before she gets freed, let's sit back and think about these two different approaches, right? Instead of like just accepting this as true wisdom, because this is kind of jarring for the mind, right? This is very jarring. Different type of mind, good quote unquote mindset. So let us think about a specific situation, and we will examine it through these two different approaches, right? Uh, okay, so here let's take that situation, and we will say that this is Steve right here. Okay, and here, this dot right here, that's Babs with no E. Babs. So we have Steve and Babs, and Steve is the insecure man. And he is abusive towards Babs, right? Babs herself is insecure, and but he is just, he captures her. Steve is the land of no return. And let's introduce Sarah. Now, Sarah has met Babs before, and she likes Babs, right? And she does not like this situation at all, right? So she wants to free the prisoner, or free the slave. And so what does she do, right? Let's take the two different approaches. Let's take the first approach, the righteous approach. And so she is going to come in front of, like, here's the entire community right here. She's going to come in front of the entire community and call Steve out. Hey, Steve is physically abusing and emotionally abusing and mentally abusing Babs. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that. And, there's going to be members of the community who realize that, Babs every now and then does, have bruises on her. But to go by the principle of innocent until proven guilty, bruises happen, so we can't always assume. But there's other members of the community who know Steve, right? And they can speak out and say, hey, yeah, no, Steve likes to be abusive to people. And so they can, testify as to his character. Maybe he's a liar, he's the coward, this, that. And so, oh my goodness, Babs now gets freed, right? And Babs now is free from all this. And so we have to, of course, try to, we have to introduce complexity and say that Babs can now be free from Steve, but, and she exudes a now personality of confidence. But if she's ever isolated again and abused, then she will revert back to where she was, because that period of confidence was a period of false confidence, and she has never truly healed herself, right? And this is the idea that we all have to heal herself. And so maybe one can argue that, Sarah is good intentioned, but Babs ultimately has to be her own Messiah, right? But, oh my goodness, maybe Babs is freed, because not all stories are going to be the same. So you can have a story where Babs is freed, and um and she heals herself. So that's a good story, right? And that's actually the Hollywood story. This is the Hollywood story. And how is this not a good story, right? So if we examine this descent of Inanna, we would say, hey, Babs is free. Oh my goodness. How is this not good? This is the Hollywood story, right? Steve is exposed, and the villain is now defeated. Um, and credits roll. Oh my goodness, happy Babs is free, and you see the last scene, Sarah and Babs walking and laughing, and end of story, right? The problem is that this is not happening in a this is not happening in a magical little circle, right? There are silent characters who are all around. And some of them may be boisterous, the one who says, "Yeah, I know that guy, Steve." Da 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 da. But there's all these characters, and when this story happens, oh my, they're gonna cheer, right? Yay, yeah, yay, and happy story, correct? Well, there's a problem here, and the problem is Bob. Let's see. Bob's over here. Now, Bob is also insecure, like Steve, and Bob likes Babs, right? And in order to capture Babs, all he has to do is take Sarah down, right? So Bob is going to enter into the picture like a friend, right? He's going to trespass with a loving face. But Bob's going to, figure out how to take Sarah down. Either through deception and lies, manipulation. The hit doesn't come directly from Bob; it comes from his hidden hand. Um, it could. I mean, Bob couldn't attack Sarah in any way. All he needs to do is take Sarah out, and he's now captured Babs because he sees that Babs' confidence is false, and he can now grab her. Like then we have over here we don't just have Bob, we have Jenny, right? And Jenny sees all this, and Jenny is jealous, right? And Jenny does not like Sarah, right? Because Sarah is the woman that Jenny thinks she is, right? But she's not. And so Jenny, oh hey Sarah, what's up? What's up, Babs? Jenny's gonna now take Sarah out, and you know how she's gonna do it. She's gonna do it in a way more definitive than a man could. um, then we have let's add Jill. How do we spell Jill? I don't know. We'll just do it that. Jill's over here, and Jill's a narcissist, right? And Jill, when all this is happening, is going to be like, yeah, Sarah. And then 10 years from now, Jill's going to be sitting around in front of her ministers, telling them incessantly about how she saved Babs. So let's go to, how about let's see, Frank. We'll do Frank. And Frank is a hater, right? And he's haters. And haters, like all wicked people, they're always taking information in and calculating. So this is more information that that Frank's gonna take in, and he's gonna use this for his destructive, hateful purposes. How he could do it depends on the specifics of the situation. Like there could be Tyrone over here, and Frank wants to destroy Tyrone, right? And he knows that Sarah is this righteous individual, so he gets good with Sarah, and now he's got an ally if he can manipulate her, right? Um, so, like once you start to step back, right? Because this is all focused. Once you start to step back, I mean, I think problems start to develop, right? Um, and so, what would be the second approach? The second approach um, is the approach of Anki. So let's say Sarah, wants to free Babs. So what is she going to do? She's going to go in and be a Steve fanboy, right? She's going to be a Steve fanboy, and she's going to be one of Babs's submissive friends. Um, and in this position, she herself is going to gather information, right? I mean, again, legalism, specificity, and she is going to now attack Steve in the same way Jenny would attack Sarah. She's going to do it more decisively than a man ever could. And she can do it with a hidden hand so that Steve doesn't even ever know that Sarah did it. And again, this all depends on the specifics of the situation, of the characters, of the story. I mean, the problem with the first story is that the story never ends. The story will never end until the last man breathes. The story always continues. And there are many, many, many stories all around, interconnected. Right? And it's the false wise man who focuses in on a story and will give you the bad advice. Right? Because the false wise man's brain is too focused. Again, we're talking about crafts. We're talking about the art and science of a thing. And a mind that is too focused is all science. A mind that is focused is only a point. You got to take a step back. You got to the wise man who is never dazed and confused is to never be trusted. Because look at all this. This is dazed and confused. Judgment is individual. It is not group. Judgment is also intimate. It is intimate. Right? This is a ninja approach. Right? Because Sarah is taking on the character of a bad person. But she has a good heart, and she's going to get the job done. This is the same teaching of Moses. Right? Because Abraham was a cuck. And yet, Abraham, with his 300 men, killed an entire army. First of all, we have to notice that Abraham gets men into his sphere and he builds them up. This doesn't happen. We can obviously see if you have eyes open. But he builds them up. But Abraham, who is he? Is he the army destroyer, or is he the cuck? Right? But Abraham is like it says, if Abraham blesses you, then you will be blessed. That is to say that some religious men will bless you. They will pray to their God and, oh, God bless this person, they are a good person, right? But it never gets done. But if Abraham blesses you, it'll get done, right? That's because Abraham is going to do it himself. Abraham knows a guy who can get a good deal on cinnamon. And so if Abraham blesses you, you're going to get some cinnamon. Right? But if Abraham is actually doing the blessings himself, that also means he's doing the curses. So Abraham is setting these men up. He's being duplicitous. He's pretending to be a weak man. Right? Because these are men who will smile in your face, kill you, and take all your stuff. But if you go in there pretending to be weak, allow them to cheat you, allow them to fuck your wife, then there's no need to kill you. And you can walk away unscathed. But then Abraham's going to curse you, so he's going to knife you in the back, him and his 300 men. He was doing the justice himself. This is the exact same teaching. This descent of Inanna and the teachings of Moses are the exact same. This is a ninja philosophy, and this became prior to Moses. Right? So earlier I said, I was talking about Moses, and I said Moses was the original ninja. But this is obviously not true. Whoever wrote this Descent of Inanna is the original ninja. Sorry to the sons of Abraham and sorry to the Japanese. I love the Japanese ninja, and I love Moses the ninja. But this is really a ninja philosophy. That's what's going on here. This is, you go in and you enable Steve, you figuratively suck on him. And Steve now, instead of, like in the first story, Steve is this villain that you have to conquer, But in this second story, again, it's kind of Looney Tunes-ish, right? Steve is now this character that you need to trip up. But the story continues. So I think that basically explains these two separate approaches, right? And this really is the meat of the story, you could say. The story continues though, and I think it takes a really funny turn later on. But we will continue later.